Hello, everybody that is joining us. My name is Laura Gann, and I am the advisor for Western's Bachelor of Science in Cybersecurity program. I advise the Bellingham and Kirkland students. And with us also is Carrie Corns. She is over there in Paulsbo, and she advises our Paulsbo cybersecurity students. And our acting director right now, Dr. Philip Jagodzinski. So we are going to be spending the next hour together. Thank you all for coming. I know, it's evening time. Hopefully many of you are cozied in at home, maybe eating some dinner while you watch this. This is going to be an opportunity for you to learn more about our Bachelor of Science in Cybersecurity at Western Washington University, and also to ask us questions. So the neat thing about the webinar format is you'll see a button here in Zoom that is a Q. It says Q&A. I think that's what it says. And that allows you to ask your questions. So you can type in questions that you have along the way as we present to you. And then we'll have an opportunity at the end to answer many more of your questions. So some of the questions, if they're quick and easy questions, Carrie's going to be able to type an answer right back to you. If they're more elaborate questions, we'll answer them live right after the presentation. So I encourage you all to check out the Q&A feature and ask any questions that come up along the way as we present to you here. So our Bachelor of Science in Cybersecurity is a unique program. We are what's called a 2+2 program. So what that means is students cannot complete all 4 years at Western. They first have to go to one of our 15 partner colleges and obtain a specific cybersecurity associate's degree while there. So our 15 colleges are listed here, and the specific degree that you need from these colleges is listed on our website. So after the presentation, I'm going to pull up the website and show you exactly how you can navigate to see exactly what you need from the college of your choice. We also require students have a minimum 2.5 cumulative GPA. And also, I put this little additional classes may be required because we also require students to complete English 101, 2 specific computer programming classes, and Calculus 1. Sometimes those classes are integrated into the degree. Like, for example, at Whatcom Community College, their AAST incorporates all 4 of those classes. But other times, like, for example, at Edmonds College, those are going to be additional classes that you would need to take on top of their degree that we require from them. So you'll spend the first 2 years at one of our 15 partner colleges getting that associate's degree. And then you can apply to spend the last 2 years at Western to get your Bachelor of Science in Cybersecurity. So when you're at Western, you'll be taking cybersecurity courses, a couple of cybersecurity electives, 3 support courses, so it's a technical writing class, and then also 2 more math classes, and then general university requirements. We call those GURs, and I say 0 to 48 credits because we understand that every student coming into the program has such a unique situation. Sometimes students are transferring in and they have completed many other college credits from various institutions around the country. And we will work with you. Carrie and I will work with you before you come to Western. It can be as soon as tomorrow. We will work with you to look at your transcripts, see how those classes transfer over, and tell you exactly how many GURs you'll need to take, how many classes at Western you'll need to take. It's typically around 2 years. Sometimes it's a lighter course load if you've completed a lot of additional credits before that cybersecurity associates. But we'll work with you to create a tailored course plan so you can see exactly what classes you would need to take at Western to get that bachelor's degree. And you can apply to attend any of our 3 locations. So Bellingham is our traditional college campus. We have a cohort of about 32 students that start there every year in our cybersecurity program. They are traditional college classes, so they're morning and afternoon classes Monday through Friday. Our Paulsbo location, also Monday through Friday, typically morning, afternoon classes. And all these locations are in-person classes for the most part. Paulsbo, I would say it's about 70% in-person classes and 30% online. And that cohort tends to be a little smaller, between 5 and 10 students each year. Our Kirkland location is we share a location with the Lake Washington Institute of Technology, but you're taking Western classes with Western professors there in Kirkland. And we have a cohort of around 15 students that start there every year. And it is an evening program in Kirkland. So typically our students there are working professionals, and they come to classes Monday through Friday from about 6 p.m. until 9 p.m. So you can apply to any of those 3 locations. And why Western? So I always tell students, if you're getting your associate's degree, just take that next step, do an additional 2 years and get that bachelor's degree, because almost 90% of those job postings require that you have at least a bachelor's degree. And the average median pay for those information security analysts, for example, is $60 an hour. So the payoff for getting that degree is definitely high. And what's specifically unique about Western is we add breadth and depth to the knowledge that you already have. So we know that you're already coming in with this 2 years of cybersecurity knowledge, and we're going to add on to that. We're not starting at the very beginning with you. We know that you're going to jump right into those advanced level courses. And finally, we're a very technical program, so we prepare students for those higher paying cybersecurity engineering jobs. This is just a fun little slide that I like to throw in here. Summer internships, I really like to push this because it's a great opportunity for you to get hands-on experience and also get usually paid a bunch of money. And you can see some of the places that our students have interned in the past and the pay that they get. So, it ranges from minimum wage all the way up to 55 plus an hour. A lot of time it includes stipends and benefits. And it's like I said, it's a great way to get that hands-on experience. And I find that the students that complete internships typically have a very easy time getting employment right after graduation. They're usually snatched up even before they graduate. So it's a great opportunity. If you're thinking about it, now is the time to be applying for them. A lot of them are posting their summer internship job postings online now, between now and February. I have created a Canvas course of kind of some tips of how to get summer internships. So you can always email me if you want a link to that. And I'll have my email address at the end of this presentation. So finance is a big one that comes up with students and prospective students. So I've put some stats on here that might be of interest to you. So Western tuition and fees. So you're going to be spending around $3,000, depending on which location you go to, $3,000 a quarter. And you can expect to come to Western for about 6 to 7 quarters to get your bachelor's degree. And we have a very helpful financial aid office that's going to assist you with a combination of scholarships, grants, and loans. And to start that process, I very strongly encourage you all to fill out the FAFSA or the WAFSA every year by the priority filing date. And right now, the 2026-27, if you can believe it, the FAFSA is open right now. So if you know that you're going to be going to school next year, go ahead and fill that out. Even if you are like, I don't know if I qualify or not, fill it out, because a lot of times scholarships even require you to fill out the FAFSA. So it doesn't hurt to fill it out. I definitely encourage you all to do that. And then we also have a Service Academy scholarship. We have 4 of our students that received this scholarship, which is an incredible scholarship opportunity. It pays for your tuition, your fees, your books, and a laptop. In addition to that, they'll just cut you a check for almost $30,000 every year. So monetarily, it's like an amazing scholarship. And they also guarantee placement for you in a Department of Defense summer internship. And then after graduation, you will go on to be in a paid position with employment with the Department of Defense as well. And so you'll be employed by them for the same amount of time that you received the scholarship for. So if you get the scholarship for 2 years, then afterwards you will need to serve in that paid position for an additional 2 years. It's a great opportunity. They will post that scholarship opening someday soon. And right now they're switching platforms. And so they haven't posted it yet, but keep your eye out for it. If you want me to notify you when that scholarship opens up, just shoot me an email and I'll make sure that you're on my list of people to notify, and we can give you some tips for how to be competitive when you submit that application for that DoD scholarship. And then finally, I always like to mention, this isn't a history degree. This is a degree that is in very high demand by a lot of people, and they're willing to pay good money for graduates who have this degree. So we find that our graduates, even if students have to take out loans, our graduates are able to pay those student loans off very quickly. And where do they end up? Here's some of the places our graduates have gone on to work. It's definitely not all the places. And here's some of the roles that they hold and the money that they're making. So our median salary after graduation is $83,000 a year. And I found, just talking to our alumni, is that most of them are making over $100,000 very soon thereafter, after graduation. So some exceptional offers to recent graduates, you can see well over $100,000 a year, big stock options, big bonuses. So the payoff for this degree is definitely worth it. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Jagodzinski, and he is going to talk a little bit about our curriculum and other elements of our program.
Great, thanks, Laura. So you come in with the foundation of several things or concepts that you've learned in your original 2 years prior to coming to Western, whether it's Poulsbo, Kirkland, or the Bellingham campus. So some networking, system administration, cybersecurity concepts, programming 1 and 2, perhaps, and calculus 1. Again, different students might come in with a little bit different levels of preparation, but ultimately we are building on a foundation that you are presenting when you come to Bellingham, Kirkland, or Poulsbo. And so what we do is we add what we call to what we refer to as breadth. So there's some science requirements that you need to take, some statistics, some calculus too, building on a previous math knowledge that you have acquired, and then take some database security, policy compliance and risk, privacy ethics, security, secure software development, and cybersecurity electives. And you'll notice that these courses on the left here especially are speaking to both the technical components of cybersecurity as well as the sort of less technical, such as ethics and policy, which are important, if not as important, if maybe even more important than the technical aspects, because the technical aspects you will acquire over the course of your professional career, and those will change. And that's not to say that the privacy and ethics and policy and compliance don't change, but those sort of concepts tend to sort of be in use through the entirety of your career, whereas the more technical things you will be learning and relearning on the go. And that's actually one of the hallmarks here in Western. We don't want you to memorize, we don't want you to learn the skills that are in place now as a cybersecurity professional, but we also hope to instill in all of our students and graduates an appreciation and an ability to learn and to evolve with the field as it is quickly evolving. You can imagine that 10 or 15 years ago, machine learning, for example, or the concept of AI was not prevalent in cybersecurity, and by gosh, it is now. So we try to instill in our students an appreciation, an understanding, and know-how, how to learn in their professional careers. And then we also add depth. So the depth is a few, well, more than a few, key areas, and we require students to take a deep dive. So operating systems, computer organization, computer security. So notice that these are on top of the cybersecurity concepts block. So not only do you learn the concepts, but then you get into the nitty-gritty details of operating systems, for example. What is it exactly in a kernel that a cybersecurity professional might need to know quite a bit about so that they can then develop the software and know what software is running or what it is doing that is cybersecurity software. Because truly, to understand the big picture, you have to know the nitty-gritty details inside that I'll call it the circuitry, if I can. And then I'll say a few things about the capstone project. I think this is sort of the end of the road. That sounds bad, but it's a year-long project that students work on groups to tackle real-world projects that our clients come to us with and say, I need a group of students that does this, or I need a group of students that will do X, Y, and Z. And I'm being very vague here on purpose because these projects are real-world. We have partners or clients that come from all over, Seattle area, Bellingham, government, military, and the different projects that they present to us, you name it. But normally, obviously for students for cybersecurity, the goal is that these projects have a cybersecurity component. So one example project that I'll just mention really quickly is recently that I thought was really cool that I wasn't part of, I didn't supervise, but I absolutely heard about it, an underwater, well, submersible vehicle, autonomous. And what is the software that runs on that vehicle, that autonomous, it's a submarine, not that humans are in, but a submarine that is about the size of a small car, and that the goal of that submarine was to make its way through waters in such a way that it was undetectable. And so what is the software that runs on such a submersible? And the students were involved in developing the sensors and the technology, so to say, that was deployed ultimately on that submersible. Very real world. You can imagine that if you were a student on such a project, client at the end of that project, if they're happy with the product, and these products don't always succeed, they can fail, which is part of the learning experience. But you can imagine that a client at the end of that year, boy, they have vested in so much time and money to work with students on a project. And very often those students then are hired by that client because already the client knows that student. Why take a risk hiring somebody they don't know when here is a student that presents themselves as somebody who's very capable and they've been able to work on a project for a whole year. So I think the capstone is an amazing opportunity for students to get hands-on experience on real-world projects. And so a little bit more about the electives. Students are required to take not only the required courses, but also electives. So here, just throwing some names: cyber warfare, memory and forensics, advanced network security, penetration testing, cryptography, reverse engineering software. And we continue to create new electives year in and year out in response to, well, whatever the new technology is out there. So maybe if you were to come into cybersecurity in the next year or two within our program, maybe one or two of these courses wouldn't be available, but maybe something else is. I'll simply point out here that also all of these electives are real world in the sense that they're not theoretical. We pride ourselves in having courses that are very much project based. So not to the extent of being a whole year when a group of students works on a single project for a client, but there may be in a class over the course of the quarter some concepts that students learn over the course of the first 2, 3, 4 weeks. And then maybe there's a team project that spans 3, 4, 5 weeks. So still very much real world, not to the level of a capstone, but real world very much. And for example, Pisces here. So these two fish, the blue and the red. Pisces and the cyber range, through the cyber range, is a platform that we have here at Western that allows students to gain access to data that is collected by municipalities throughout the state and throughout the region, in fact. And that data is specific to the network flow data in the goal that students and the municipalities then are able to detect and intercept rogue actors. You can imagine, again, that's very much real world, right? You can imagine that a student that goes through such a program and takes such an advanced network security class and maybe makes use of the Pisces data, boy, I can see that resume, the client or an employer or some municipality is looking at it and wow, this student has already seen network flow data. They have done some analysis of it. They have grappled with the technicality of how do you decompose that data and look at under the hood. You can imagine how such a student who presents such a resume and is able to explain in an interview what they exactly did for advanced network security, that such a student would be very much in demand. So the electives add on top of the required courses, and ultimately we hope, and based on our track record, this is true, we produce cybersecurity professionals that are very much in demand. And so one other thing that I'll just simply add really quickly, clubs, activities, and resources. Although a student may be joining the cybersecurity program, we also have a computer science program, and we also have data science, and we also have a graduate program as well. Not that we have a cybersecurity graduate program, but what I'm getting at is that we have a variety of students from different backgrounds, and cybersecurity students, clubs are open to all students, not just cybersecurity, but computer science, data science, you name it. So that is a great, I think, opportunity that is afforded in Bellingham as well as the other locations as well. There are, however, specific clubs for cybersecurity. Cybersecurity Club, the cyber defense team, And they engage in competitions, oftentimes traveling to Illinois, I believe, is a yearly competition that they go to, as well as more regional ones. Also, I'll mention here research opportunities. The faculty at Western, irrespective of whether it's Postville, Kirkland, or Bellingham, are all professionals in their field. Most hold PhDs, and they're very active in research. So research is one of these things like, uh-oh, I'm just a student. How can I do research? But it's exactly the students that the faculty are reaching out to work with them on research projects that oftentimes end up in publications, but not always. This is yet another sort of key component of the undergraduate experience. It's not required that students do research with faculty, but you can imagine, again, similar to having access to the Pisces data, if a student were to present on a resume the fact that they worked with some faculty member to design this really awesome algorithm or some sort of detection scheme on a network, and they were able to present that at a professional conference. Wow, that presents really well as a markable skill that clients, municipalities, the government, you name it, would see as something very desirable and somebody that they might want to hire. So lots of opportunities that students get access to if they become students in the cybersecurity program, irrespective of which 3 locations they ultimately matriculate.
Great, thanks, Philip. So we have some deadlines for application. We accept students any quarter that you want to start. And again, Carrie and I will work with you to determine what makes sense for your schedule. If you want to do a winter, spring, or summer start, we can help you, show you exactly what classes you would need to take during those quarters if you started one of those quarters. Most students start in the fall. We're kind of a cohort-based program, so our students start the CISS sequence of classes in the fall. You can see our application deadlines here. So right now, if you want to start really any quarter, we're accepting applications. So the big one is summer, for a summer or fall start. So that's summer 2026, this next summer, or fall 2026. If you are going to be ready to start at Western next year, then now is the time to be submitting your application. We'll accept applications until March 1st for Bellingham and then June 1st for Poulsbo and Kirkland. Winter applications, if you're ready to start this January, I think admissions is still accepting applications. For a spring start, the priority application deadline is January 1st. And I didn't double check this. Maybe you can double check my work, Carrie, real quick. But I think the FAFSA and the WAFSA priority application deadline is January 31st. Correct me if I'm wrong. I see a head nod. A thumbs up. Hooray. If you want to learn more, here's where you get a hold of us. So cybersecurity programs at www.edu. Maybe Carrie, you can toss this into the chat. And then here's our email, our website as well. So this email address, it just goes straight to me. We're a small program. You're going to get an answer back from me and Carrie. And we're happy to answer any questions that you have at any point. I am going to pop out of this little screen and I'm going to pull up our website so I can show you around a little bit. If you go to our website, you'll be taken to this homepage and you'll see these different drop-down menus at the top. The one that is probably going to be of most interest to you is the academic program drop-down menu and the Bachelor of Science in Cybersecurity. So if you click that, you can read about how our program works, which we've just talked about. And then this is the specific, the links to the different pathways that we have. So let's say you're coming from Edmonds College. If you click on it, you can see exactly what you need from Edmonds to be able to transfer into our program. So actually, I picked kind of a complicated one to start. Let me go back. I'm going to show you Whatcom Community College. So Whatcom, very simple. You need this degree, the AASC in cybersecurity, and you need a minimum GPA of 2.5. You do not need to have earned that yet. You just need to be on a pathway to have completed that degree before you start at Western. So I know many of you who are planning on starting in fall 2026. Of course, you're still taking classes at the community college. We do not expect you to be done with classes before you apply. You need to be applying while you're finishing up your last year in the associate's program. So going back to Edmonds College, You're going to need one of these 2 degrees, that same 2.5 GPA or better, and then these additional classes. So English 101, Calculus 1, which is Math and 151, and then a computer programming series, either C++ or Java. So again, the website is going to outline exactly what you need. You can also get a hold of us under people, advisors. You can find links to making appointments with both me and Carrie. So lots of different information to check out on the website, and a lot of resources for you. We are happy to meet with you. We're happy to email with you, chat with you on the phone. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we are going to take some questions. So there, again, I mentioned this in the beginning, but there is a feature at the bottom. It says Q&A. Maybe it's not at the bottom. Maybe you're on a phone. Maybe it's somewhere. It's somewhere on Zoom. There's a button for you to press, and it says Q&A. It's a little box with a question mark in it. And we would like you to ask us some questions, and then we will give you some answers. I don't see any questions popping up yet. And then maybe video services, you can verify that this feature is working for people. Or maybe somebody who's attending can toss it. I see a question. It's working. Thank you. Is there only, so Ethan has a question. He's asking, is there only program admittance in the fall, or can you join the program in the winter or spring? So that's a great question. Most students start in the fall, but I've had many students also start in the winter or spring. So if you remember back on that slide, we had, there's core cybersecurity courses. Those begin in the fall, but in addition to those courses, students need to take support courses, so an English class, two math classes, and they also need to take GURs, General University Requirements. And so oftentimes it will make sense for a student to start in the winter or spring to knock out those few additional classes before they start the cybersecurity sequence. And again, like, we are happy to make a course plan to show you exactly what it would look like if you started in the fall versus starting in the winter or starting in the spring. And then you can weigh that and decide what quarter makes sense for you to start in. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, Tristan is asking, Carrie, do you want to answer Tristan's question? You can, oh, you're typing an answer, but maybe you want to answer it for other people.
Yes, I'll answer now.
Okay. How does this work for Running Start students? I have had so many Running Start students, and you all are wonderful. It works great for Running Start students. So some students who are Running Start students, I understand Running Start students can kind of have there's two different types of Running Start students. There are those of you who have just finished a handful of classes at the community college. Sorry, yeah, so if that's you, just know that you're going to have to continue on at the community college to get that cybersecurity associate's degree. Many Running Start students are very, they know exactly what they want to do. And so they start very early doing Running Start. They do it full time for 2 years, and they walk away with that cybersecurity associate's degree at the same time that they're graduating high school. And that's awesome. And you can apply for the program just like any other transfer student. The only difference is when you go through the Western application, you're not going to be applying as a transfer student. You're going to be applying as a first year Running Start student, which doesn't really change much for you, other than like the date that you register for fall classes in the summer. But yes, we are happy to see Running Start students come into our program. They've been wonderful. Oh, Philip, I think you should answer this one. What are the employment outcomes between bachelor's in cybersecurity versus a bachelor's of computer science?
Sure. So speaking or referring back to some of the slides that you had, Laura, regarding starting salaries, that doesn't necessarily speak to the outcomes, because the outcome is how likely is it that you get a job upon completion of BS in cybersecurity? Very likely. I can speak to the fact that, I mean, Laura, maybe you know personally students more, but students routinely have an offer by the time that they are about to graduate. So said differently, we have a good sized number of students who, even before graduation, they have an offer. And so they're not spending the 6 months or longer necessarily looking for a job afterwards. Cybersecurity is among the most sought after degrees. And speaking again to the senior project and the internships, because of these things and others, students are very much, and this is in a good way, snatched up by employers and receive confirmed offers even before graduation. That's not to say that everybody has a job at graduation time, but I would say that it is among the most lucrative and most reliable degrees in terms of getting employment at the time of graduation very soon. And I will say quickly, really, if I can, also in addition, those starting salaries, those are as high as you can get with a bachelor's. It's amazing. There is a long list of alumni who started out making more than $100,000 right after they're earning their BS, which is just amazing. And then fast forward 6 months after that, they're making much more as well. So the future is bright for cybersecurity. I will also touch on this. AI, elephant in the room, right? Is AI stealing these jobs? No, it is not. The chat among faculty, and I've heard this among our faculty as well as faculty at other institutions because we chat when we talk. AI generates code. That code, although works and is able to achieve in many but not all cases the intended effect, that code behind the scenes was generated by AI, and the number of attack surfaces that are presented or seen in AI generated code, there are so many attack surfaces that I actually think that cybersecurity professionals are going to be much more demand in the future when AI becomes even more prevalent because of the increase in attack surfaces that AI code generates. So the future's bright.
Thanks, Philip. I have more questions for you, Philip, specifically. There's one here from Neb saying asking about the difference between a Bachelor of Science and a Bachelor of Applied Science. So again, I'm encouraging everyone to go on and get a bachelor's degree. Many of the programs in our state through like Green River College, Highline College are actually Bachelor of Applied Science. Does a Bachelor of Science allow students to move on to a more advanced degree, like if they want to get a master's or a PhD? And yeah, I think that's kind of the gist of what they're getting at. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I can speak to this. I just want to say why I can speak to this. So here at Western, we have a graduate degree in computer science. And so I'm familiar with the applications and applicants sort of that come through. And also as somebody who has a PhD, I can attest that generally the route into a higher degree, MS or PhD, is through a BS, which is the degree that we offer. But that's not to say that somebody with a BAS also can't be successful. So I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't go to Bellingham versus some community college where you might earn a BAS. Ultimately, when applying to graduate programs, you are presenting a record of your courses that you've taken, whether it's through BS or BAS, and it is courses in both degrees that can map to the requirements that are prerequisite for admission into an MS and PhD. Having said that, most often it is BS, then MS, then PhD.
I'll also say specifically what I know about the BAS programs is they have they don't require as much math. And when you go into those master's programs, most of them will require that you have more math than a BAS program would. There are programs that are like Masters of Cybersecurity in Leadership or Business. They're more business focused that might not have that math requirement. But I will also say those degrees probably are not going to get you the engineering type cybersecurity jobs. And the engineering cybersecurity jobs are the ones that are the higher paying ones. This is a quick one I can answer. How long does it take to find out if you're accepted into the program? If you apply to Paulsbo or Kirkland, we could probably give you an answer within a week or two of if you are accepted in the program. So even if you're applying for fall of 2026, if you want to lock in your space for Kirkland or Paulsbo, we are ready to give you an answer very quickly. For Bellingham, it's a little more complicated because in Bellingham, we can only accept a maximum right now, unless that changes somehow, a maximum of 32 students in our cohort. Maybe that number will increase. In my dream world, it would. We'll see how many applicants we get. So for example, if a student, if you applied for a fall 2026 start in Bellingham right now, and you came at me with a 4.0 GPA, cumulative GPA, we would probably accept you. That's very competitive. If you came at me with a 2.6 GPA, we would probably say, well, we're going to wait until we see how competitive you are against the whole applicant pool until the March 1st deadline. So I would tell people that it does not hurt to submit an application early. So you are welcome to submit an application early, see if you're accepted into the Bellingham program. And if you want to kind of know your chances, you're always welcome to chat with us and have a conversation with us, and we can kind of fill you in. So yeah, apply now is the bottom line, because why not? What's the difference between continuing bachelor's at Whatcom Community College versus Western's program? That's a great question. That's a question I get a lot from Whatcom Community College students, and I always tell them I don't know much about Whatcom's program, and I really encourage you to ask them about their graduate outcomes and see if they can connect you with their alumni. See if they can give you some stats on where their graduates end up and how much money they're making in those jobs, how easy it is for them to find employment, what percentage of them are employed 6 months after graduation, for example. We can give you all of those stats for Western. I've been doing this job for 9 years now, I think, for a really long time. So I've seen most of our graduates go through our program. And like Philip said, our graduates get jobs, and they tend to get very high paying jobs, and they are definitely in demand. So, I can say all the great things about our program. I will say it is a challenging program. Like, there's different bachelor's degrees for different types of students, and our degree might not be the right fit for you. Whatcom's degree might be a better fit, or one of the other bachelor's degree offerings out there. But our degree, it's very challenging. It's for people who think critically and who aren't scared of being challenged. But the payoff, the literal payoff after graduation, it is worth it, I think. If you were able to get through a challenging program like ours, the payoff is definitely worth it.
Also, Laura, if I can add really quickly to the challenge aspect of this.
Yes.
So I think it's, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but if a student is admitted to our program, it is with the hope and expectation that they can make it through the program. So although it is challenging and it is very technical, students are admitted with the prospect that they can succeed. So think of the challenging component of our bachelor's program as an opportunity, and not necessarily as something like, uh-oh, is this going to be any more challenging than it will be somewhere else? Chances are it is more challenging than the non-technical programs. But again, we admit people with the prospect that they can make it through.
How local are these potential job opportunities? Is remote work very common for this line of work? I live in Bellingham. I don't want to leave if I can help it. I get it. I love Bellingham too. I don't want to leave. So yeah, so this is specifically a question for the Bellingham folks. And I'll say the Kirkland students here in the Seattle area, a million job opportunities in the Seattle area. Bellingham, it's true. Like, are there specific cybersecurity job opportunities? They are less frequent, but I will say students who are committed to staying in Bellingham, they find work. And sometimes you are starting with kind of a more general position, and then Many of them, though, work for bigger organizations or kind of local, like I've seen people work for local health organizations, for example, the school district, the local tribes. There's definitely jobs out here in Bellingham, and I think you can find ways to make yourself competitive enough that you will be hired locally. And once you're kind of in and you start to get that experience, I found that once you have experience in this field working, then it'll be a lot easier for you definitely to find remote work, and also to kind of move up in the world locally. Philip, have you found that to be the case?
Yes, and I'll just add on to that, maybe in part to echo, but also add some new things. So there are no huge tech companies in Bellingham. And by huge, I mean there are no Amazons, there are no Microsoft, there are no Googles, right? These companies that employ 150, if not more, 150,000 people. Those companies don't exist in Bellingham. Indeed, they don't exist anywhere outside of the cities that have millions of people. So oftentimes, if you were to stay in Bellingham, you would join a company that maybe has 10, 20, 30, 40 employees. It's potentially a different feel and a different vibe than if you're joining Microsoft or Amazon, for good or for better or for worse. For better, for my reason, in that if you join a company that has 50 employees, you are going to get so much experience, ultimately exposed to so many facets of that job or of that company, because there are only 50 people doing the entirety of that business. So you will probably be exposed, or at minimum see, all different aspects of a company, and that makes you very marketable if some years down the line you want to jump ship to some other big company. And so regarding remote, that is very true. Oftentimes the entry level positions are not remote for the reason that the employer doesn't know you yet, or can't, I'll say can't trust you. I don't want to really say can't trust you, but they don't know you yet. It is often very much remote jobs that are given out to people who have been at a company for some amount of time, whether it's 6 months or a year, or have a track record of multiple years, and then they can be hired into a company, into a mid or senior level. So remote most often is not for entry level positions, but that's not to say there are no exceptions, because there always are.
Thanks. Philip, do you want to talk about, you probably know this the best, what's the criteria that determines who's awarded that DoD Cyber Service Academy scholarship?
Yeah, so great question. And the application is it's a holistic application, in that students, it's not just your GPA and what school you went to. You also apply by submitting personal statements, right? You're also, if you get to know a faculty member, for example, and a faculty member can write a letter of recommendation, whether it's part of the official application process or not, right? That's not important. The fact is that it's a holistic sort of approach, and it's not just on GPA, although you do have to have at least, I believe, is it 3.0, Laura, in order to apply. But it's not just top GPA, and you don't have to be at UW or Harvard or Stanford. It's one of these things that if you present as a student, lots of interest and enthusiasm, and your personal statement shines. That's not to say that you're guaranteed, because these are very prestigious scholarships, but that's what it takes.
What are the program acceptance rate for this past year or so at the Bellingham campus? I was gonna just type an answer, but it's a little complex, so I'll explain it because I think that's a question a lot of people have. So in the past, we've been able to accept 100% of the students who apply to Bellingham that meet the minimum requirements. So if you got a 2.5 GPA, we accepted you. But that landscape is changing. So last year, when we had our applicant pool for the students who are starting right now, so fall 2025, we got more than 32 applications. But as luck would have it, we had a couple students that had to drop out. We had some students on the wait list, and so they moved in. So it was perfect. We were able again to accept 100%, but it was a squeaker. And we, if we had had any more applicants, we probably would have had to turn them away. So with that trend, I think that we will probably, if I had to make like a random guess, like what is the acceptance rate for fall 2026? I would say we're going to probably accept 80 to 90% of applicants. If your GPA is like a 2.5, a 2.6, you will have to do something extremely outstanding to make your application, stand out. And things that you can do is anything outside of the classroom, right? Like we, of course, want you to succeed in your classes. Like we don't want anything to draw you back from getting good grades in your classes. That is probably the most important thing that we look at is your GPA. But if you're really involved in clubs, if you're building up your home network, if you've had internships, if you're doing that kind of stuff that shows that you're very committed to this program, then that is going to be favorable when we look at your application. Oh, look at this question, Philip. You want to answer that one?
Sure. Broadly, I'll answer this way. Faculty have what's called academic freedom to run their course however they want. Of course, they have to meet outcomes that are specified for each course in the catalog, but otherwise they run the course however they want. So irrespective of whether the course is called AI, cybersecurity, or AI, you name it, or machine learning, or deep learning, or whatnot, very often it is the case now that faculty, to some extent or other, incorporate AI into the curriculum, whether it's learning about the tools or the technologies, how you build them, how you design them, or simply using them. AI is more and more becoming prevalent as a component of a class, irrespective of if that class is AI. Now, specifically AI and cybersecurity, we have several faculty at Bellingham, for example, whose specialty is AI and cybersecurity. I can name a few. And so they offer electives that maybe, again, they don't say AI or cybersecurity in the title because we like to come up with more creative course titles. But very much so among the electives, I would be surprised if a student were to take a cybersecurity elective and either AI not be discussed in a lecture or two or three, or if it is not a significant component of the class.
Great, thanks. Kirkland campus, our classes online or in person. So they are in-person classes. I would say all the cybersecurity core courses, for the most part, 95% are in person on the Kirkland campus, and they are evening classes, so Monday through Friday from about 6 to 9 p.m. And are you going to take some online classes? Yes, you will also take some online classes. So I'd say, like, if I had to break it down for the average student, it's going to be 70% in person and then about 30% online. And so the online classes would be the general ed requirements, maybe that technical writing class. I think the math classes are in person in Kirkland. So yeah, about 70% in person, but you can expect if you're going to the Kirkland program that you're going to be coming to campus probably 4 to 5 days a week. So Monday through Friday from 6 until 9 p.m. We don't have any more questions in the Q&A. Anyone want to toss some more questions in there? We're happy to answer them. We'll give it a minute. Okay, so Tristan has a similar question about Kirkland. Can I take all the classes in Paulsbo or will I have to take any elsewhere? So sounds like Tristan is interested in going into our Paulsbo program. Yeah, all the classes you need to take, we will offer you those classes. So you start the first 2 years, let's say at Olympic College. When you transfer over to Western, you're with us and you're just taking Western classes. So about 70% in person in Poulsbo, and 30% online classes, and they're all Western classes.
Can I add another layer to that onion if I can?
Yeah.
That's not to say that a student, if they like a class in Kirkland or Bellingham, and that class meets Tuesdays and Thursdays only, and it's remote one day and in person the other, that's not to say that such a Poulsbo student couldn't take one of those Kirkland and Bellingham classes, right, in consultation with Laura to make sure that the schedule lines up. Similar thing that we're seeing play out here, and this is in regards to ABET. ABET is an accreditation body in the United States that oversees accreditation for computer science, engineering, and cybersecurity, those sort of things. We just had an ABET accreditation visit. Everything was good. And one of the things that they said that they would like us to do, which I think we will move forward with, is allowing more of our courses that are taught out of Bellingham, out of Kirkland, and out of Poulsbo to be hybrid. Hybrid means some percentage of the classes taught remote, some other percentage of the classes taught in person, or even offer some classes that are fully remote, whether it's synchronous or asynchronous. And that opens up the door for a Kirkland student to take a really cool ethics class from a Poulsbo professor who might be a lawyer with history in the Navy as the lead prosecutor for the Navy, right, around cybersecurity. So yes, all classes that you need to take to complete the cybersecurity degree are offered all at Bellingham, Poulsbo, and Kirkland, but the door's opening up quite a bit wider for students to take courses from elsewhere as well, especially if we offer more and more of our hybrid classes and remote.
Is the program acceptance rate and number of acceptances at Kirkland the same as Bellingham? So again, Kirkland will accept pretty much 100% of the students that meet our minimum requirements. Bellingham, I estimate, will be accepting 80 to 90% of the students who meet our minimum requirements. Let's see, and the number of acceptances. So Bellingham, you can expect your cohort to be about 32 students. Kirkland, we're averaging like 15-ish students starting every year. So those are about the numbers that we expect at those locations. If you want to start in the fall of 2026, so Sterling is asking, if you want to start in fall of 2026, when should we apply for the Kirkland program? Right now, today. You can start your application today. That's a good question. So yeah, so the application process, I didn't really talk much about that, so I could do that now. Let me share my screen. Oh my gosh, find the right screen. Here we go. If you go to our website, which we have in the chat, the link in the chat, you can go to academic programs, application, and this is really it right here. There's two links. All applicants must complete the Western admissions application. I'll click on this in a second so you can see. If you are applying to Bellingham, you also have to submit this specific cybersecurity program application. So Bellingham applicants, I'll give you a little preview here. The cybersecurity program application, it's going to ask your name, what location you're coming from, what degree you're getting there, and then it'll ask you a statement of purpose. So, why do you want to get this degree? And then a letter of reference is also required, preferred from a faculty from the community college you're going to, and you can upload that here, or if you don't have it yet, you can just email it to me whenever it's ready. So you'll submit this program application if you're a Bellingham applicant. But everybody's going to be submitting this Western admissions application. So this link just takes you to this general page where you can say if you're a returning user or a first-time user, and it walks you through exactly what you need to do. So it's going to go through a series of questions of, what program are you interested in? What location are you interested in? And it's going to gather all the information it needs from you. You do not need to do this in one big go. You can start it and then just keep logging in and returning to it and filling out questions and chunks of the application. But the big kind of things that you can do to prepare to apply, the biggest one is ask one of your professors if they will write you a letter of reference. A lot of times students say, I am not super close with any of my professors. That's fine. They are all very familiar with writing a letter of reference. They're happy to do that. Just explain to them that you're applying to Western's program. And I'm sure many of them would be happy to write you a letter. So put that ask out now to faculty if you know that you're going to be down the line applying to Western. And then the other thing it'll ask you for is your official transcripts from any community colleges that you attended previously. Philip, you have your hand raised.
I do. Thanks for calling on me, Laura.
Sure.
As a faculty member, I'll just say this regarding letters of recommendation. I don't necessarily have to know very well a student, nor necessarily remember them from a year or two ago. It sometimes is enough for a student to email me and say, I need a letter of recommendation. I took a class from you a year or two or three ago, and my response is, great, let's chat for 10, 15 minutes. Tell me what your motivation is for applying. Tell me what your aspirations are. Tell me what kind of a career you want. And that's enough information for me to write a really strong letter of recommendation. So don't think that the professors that you reach out to or the faculty that you reach out to need to necessarily know everything about you and you be in their office every single day for the last 2 years. That's not at all the case.
That's really good insight because that's a question I get a lot. I think a lot of students are nervous to ask their professors, and don't be nervous. That's what they're there for. They're there to teach and help you. So they're happy. Many of them. I've never heard of a professor being like, no, I don't want to write you a letter. I mean, I guess in some situations, but like if you have a good enough relationship, if you go to classes and you do the work in a class, and you're a pretty good student, like I'm sure many of them would be happy to write you a letter.
Yep. And what's the worst that can happen? The faculty member will say, actually, for the next 2 weeks, I'm super busy. So no, but thank you for asking. Right? That's the worst thing that will happen. So try.
If you're an undergrad at Western, can you apply for the program? If you are an undergrad at Western, you should come and meet with me and we'll talk exactly what it would take for you to get into this program. I've worked with a lot of current Western students who want to do our program. And what it means is I would need to look at your transcript and we would map out exactly what it would look like for you to be able to get this degree. And some students say, never mind, I'm going to pursue computer science. And some students say, yep, that's exactly what I want to do. I'm going to follow this plan. I'm going to head to Whatcom Community College, get that necessary degree, come back to Western. So yeah, absolutely make an appointment with me. And I'll put my appointment link in the chat. I have to find it first. Copy link. I found it. Okay, I just put my link in the chat of how to book a Zoom meeting with me. And you can do a Zoom meeting, in-person meeting, either works for me. Oh, Carrie, do you know anything about the Common app? She does. She says yes, thumbs up.
I was just gonna double check. I think generally the Common App is more for first year students. So especially with because you can apply to Western using the Common App. But with our program, especially if you're looking at Paulsville or Kirkland, it's more of a customized application process with some different screens. So I would just do it direct through the Western website as a transfer student.
This is actually reminding me of a common question that comes up. A lot of times students say, okay, I'm ready to do your program. I'm going to go ahead and start applying to Western. If you are not on track right now to finish that necessary associate's degree at one of our 15 partner colleges, you're not ready to apply to Western. You'll need to start at one of our partner colleges. So for example, if you're like, hey, I'm over in Bremerton, I want to start at Olympic College, you will need to contact Olympic College. You can look on our website and see the links. You need to contact the admissions office at Olympic College, explain to them that you want to do the 2+2 program and come to Western, explain to them what degree you want, and they're going to get you set up with all the classes you need. They're going to create your schedule for getting that associate's degree. Then once you're on track for that, then down the line, when you're about a year away from graduating with the associate's degree, then you'll apply to Western for the last 2 years. Josh says the chat is disabled. It's true. I don't think that you can chat with us in the chat. So if you want to chat with us, you can shoot us an email, or you can just chat with us as a question. Hopefully we'll be able to answer it. I just want to say that it's 7 o'clock right now. There are still some questions in the chat, and I'm happy to answer them. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to continue answering them for a few more minutes. But I understand if people need to jet out of here. And I really thank you for coming to this info session. And I really encourage you to reach out. Like, I'm a real person. I'm ready to answer your emails. I'm ready to Zoom with you, meet you in person. And we are happy to answer any questions that you have about the program. And we know that each of you are coming in with unique questions, a unique situation, and we will help show you exactly what it would look like if you pursued our program. So feel free to reach out to us. We'll stick around for a few more minutes here to answer kind of these straggling questions, but a big thank you to everybody for coming. Oh, Philip, do you want to answer the question? Davion Ford says, if a student's struggling to understand cybersecurity but is interested in pursuits in tech, what other classes would you recommend?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. Well, first of all, I would ask the question, the struggling mean taking existing cybersecurity classes and things sort of, not resonating with the student, or simply understanding what it is that is cybersecurity. Irrespective of what the answer is there, the introductory level classes in terms of computer programming 1 and 2, architecture, algorithms, these sort of classes are the first step classes for all tech degrees under the computer science umbrella. So I think as long as you are taking those sort of classes and are familiar and have exposure to the topics in those sort of, they're called CS1 and CS2 classes, then you're being exposed to the sort of topics that are applicable to all degrees, computer science and tech related. So that's my recommendation. Take more of those introductory classes if you haven't already, with the understanding that those are foundational classes that apply to not only cybersecurity, but data science, computer science, you name it.
Thank you.
Ethan asked a question about, Ethan said, is that the same for a Running Start student who completed the AAST who's going to apply as a first-year student? I think that might be in regard to the Common App question. In that case, it's kind of a funny thing because you're applying as a first-year student because you completed your college work while you were still a high school student. But I would still have you do the application direct with Western just because of how the application for these programs is formatted. So I would still apply with the Common App, and hopefully that's what you meant.
Ooh, the chat is working. Look at that. Great, lots of thank yous. You're welcome. I'm happy you guys came. Great. Great. Okay, it doesn't look like there's any more questions in the Q&A. So we are gonna go jet out of here and get ready for bed. And just thank you so much to everybody who came. And I'm really excited to see some emails from you all, see some applications from you all. Carrie and I are so excited to work with you to talk about, what it might look like for you to come to Western. We would love to have you at Western. Okay, that's it. Thank you, Video Services, for hosting us as well. Thanks, Kent.
Thanks, Laura, Gary, everyone. Have a great night. Going to bed.
Going to bed. All right. And this
Thank
recording will be
you.
up. I'm going to put it up on our website. It looks like Video Services has recorded this for us. So that's awesome. Thank you. And I'll get it up on the website as soon as I'm able to. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.